Hi, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Positivity series on Just for Your Ears podcast. This is the channel where we bring you stories that warm the heart, spark a smile, and remind us of the beauty in the everyday. This week's story is about beginnings, not the kind you find on a calendar, but the quiet, courageous ones we plant in our lives when no one else is watching. It's the story of Clara, a retired librarian, a tired neighborhood, and a stubborn little dandelion that whispered, "Hope still lives here." So settle in, take a deep breath, and journey with me onto the Maple Street. When Clara moved to Maple Street, the only thing growing in her front yard was a single stubborn dandelion pushing up through a crack in the soil. The house she bought was small and forgotten, the paint peeled like old wallpaper from the porch railings, and the windows moaned like tired lungs every time the wind blew. But where others saw an ending, Clara saw a beginning, a blank canvas waiting for color. At the age of 62, Clara had just retired from her job as a city librarian. She had traded in her one bedroom apartment for something quieter, something slower, in a sleepy, almost forgotten neighborhood that had clearly seen better days. Most houses looked tired, gardens were wild or bare. People came and went without a smile. But Clara wasn't discouraged. She believed in the quiet power of transformation. One book, one plant, one act of kindness, one step at a time. That spring, Clara planted a garden. It wasn't much at first. A few pots, a few clay pots with basil, cherry tomatoes, and a sprig or two of lavender lined her porch. She painted her old picket fence sky blue and hung a set of wild wind chimes that danced with the breeze. Beneath the gnarled old elm tree, she placed a wooden bench, hand sanded and lovingly repainted. She worked with muddy hands and a hopeful heart. Children walking home from school paused to watch her. Some looked confused. Gardening was rare on Maple Street. One day, a boy named Jamal wandered over with curiosity shining in his eyes. "Can I help?" he asked, shy but hopeful. Clara nodded, smiled, and handed him a trowel. Word spread. The next week, Mrs. Alvarez, who barely spoke English, brought over marigold seedlings. Mr. Howard from across the street, who hadn't spoken more than a grunt in years, showed up with his old toolbox, of course, with another grunt. Teenagers painted bright murals on fading garage doors. Laughter echoed again on Maple Street. The garden became more than soil and flowers. It became a gathering place, a canvas of connection. People who had lived side by side for years finally learned each other's names. On weekends, there were potlucks on the lawn. Someone always brought a guitar. Even the quietest folks began to show up just to sit and soak in the sunshine. And on Saturday mornings, Clara held story hours under the elm tree. Children, once glued to their screens, now lay in the grass, listening wide eyed to fairy tales and fables. Maple Street began to bloom. Flower boxes appeared on windows. Fences got fresh coats of paint. Doors opened a little wider. Hearts did too. And then one golden evening in autumn, Clara sat on her bench, sipping tea, surrounded by neighbors, laughter, and the hum of community. Someone had placed a hand painted sign in front of her garden bed. It read, "Hope grows here." Clara didn't cry. She didn't need to. She just smiled. Not because the words were written, but because everyone believed in them. And that made all the difference. Clara's story is a quiet reminder that change doesn't always come with a roar. Sometimes it arrives with a trowel, a pot of basil, and a shared smile. If there is a dandelion in your life right now, something small, something stubborn, don't pull it out. Maybe it's your sign. Maybe it's where hope is waiting to grow. Thank you, my dear young listeners, for tuning into Just for Your Ears podcast. If this story touched you, share it with someone who might need a little sunshine today. Until next time, keep believing in beginnings. Be happy, keep smiling, be hopeful because hope, it still grows even on the maple street. Bye.